there, very good evening and a warm welcome to the news live on Rupavahini Channel I. I'm Sharon Mascarenhas.
And I am Thilina Udayaratna. We begin with a quick check on tonight's top stories. The President proceeds over National Scouts operations to plant 100,000 saplings. The Presidential Media Division informs that the responsibility of filing cases against the accused or conducting investigations is not entrusted upon the Parliamentary Committee. Measures to overcome the rice mafia by maintaining 300,000 metric tons of paddy. Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan will arrive in the island tomorrow on a two-day official visit. The 46th session of the United Nations Human Rights Council begins. And on your top local story this evening, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has proceeded over the National Scouts operation to plant 100,000 saplings at the President's house in Fort Colombo today. The project has been organized in connection with the 164th birth anniversary of the founder of the World Scouts movement, Lord Baden-Powell. Chief Scouts Commissioner Major General Milinda Pires has welcomed the President by placing a Scouts scarf on the President. A red sandalwood sapling was planted by the President as well. Later on, the plant was registered over a mobile phone. More than 70,000 Boy Scouts scattered throughout the country are scheduled to plant 2 saplings each in their home gardens and to look after them. The program is being evaluated through the Thuru mobile app. Officials of the Sri Lanka Scouts Association were also present on the occasion.
The 46th session of the United Nations Human Rights Council is presently being conducted. Foreign Minister Dinesh Gunawardena is scheduled to explain Sri Lanka's position before the Council tomorrow. The UN Human Rights session is scheduled to take place today till the 23rd of next month. The entire session of this year is being conducted over video technology due to the COVID-19 pandemic. British Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab, addressing the virtual inauguration session today, said the core group is preparing to bring a proposal regarding Sri Lanka.
And on Sri Lanka, where we will present a new resolution to maintain the focus on reconciliation and on accountability.
Foreign Minister Dinesh Gunawardena will make a clarification on Sri Lanka's stance addressing the session at 4:30 p.m. Geneva time. The report on Sri Lanka prepared by the Human Rights High Commissioner is scheduled to be presented to the Human Rights Council on Wednesday. A team headed by the Foreign Minister is representing Sri Lanka at the session. Special feature has been the United States actively engaged in the Human Rights Council activities after a lapse of 5 years. A media release issued by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs says that Prime Minister of Pakistan Imran Khan is scheduled to undertake an official visit to Sri Lanka tomorrow and the day after. This would be the Pakistani Prime Minister's maiden official visit this year outside the country. A special aircraft carrying the Pakistani delegation, including Prime Minister Imran Khan, is expected to arrive in the Katnaik International Airport around 4 p.m. tomorrow. Thereafter, the delegation is scheduled to engage in official discussions under the leadership of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa at Temple Trees. Several bilateral agreements are also scheduled to be signed on this occasion. On the second day of the visit, the delegation is scheduled to attend an entrepreneur investment session after discussions between President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and the Pakistani Prime Minister. The representatives are also scheduled to attend a diplomatic sports ceremony as well. The Pakistani delegation is also comprised of prominent businessmen as well. The Foreign Ministry statement adds that special attention will be focused on the fields of trade and investment in the bilateral talks. The ministry also points out that the Pakistani team will make heavy emphasis on strengthening bilateral trade relations, especially in garments, medicine, agriculture produce, information technology, construction and gems and jewelry. Apart from the Prime Minister, the Pakistani delegation will also be consisted of the Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi and senior officials.
The Presidential Media Division issuing a communique says that it is not expected from the Parliamentary Committee appointed in connection with the Easter Sunday attacks to engage in the tasks of filing cases against the accused or to mediate in the investigations according to the recommendations of the Presidential Investigation Committee on the Easter Sunday attack. The release adds that filing of cases and the examination will be carried out according to the regular judicial procedures. The main responsibility that has been entrusted upon the six-member committee appointed by the President to study the Commission's report is to engage in an in-depth evaluation on the contents of the report and to evaluate on the measures to be taken to guarantee long-term peace, security and stability, preventing the reoccurrence of such an incident in the future. It was former President Maithripala Sirisena who had appointed the Presidential Commission inquiring into the Easter Sunday attack in 2019. The Commission had been given instructions to identify the roles to be played by numerous institutions, including the Parliament, the Judiciary, the Department of the Attorney General, the Security Forces, the State Intelligence Divisions to prevent the recurrence of a national calamity of this magnitude and to implement relevant recommendations. However, it has been pointed out that a single institute is unable to successfully implement such recommendations. The present government has determined that the Easter Sunday attack had caused a tremendous and adverse impact on national security, stability, economy, religious coexistence and social life. The background that had paved the way to the incident has also left room for harmful external interventions on the sovereignty and stability of the country. In order to guarantee peace, security and economic prosperity within the state of Sri Lanka, it is imperative to block all opportunities for the reoccurrence of extremist violence in the country. The Presidential Media Division further points out that in order to do so, avenues on the procurement of foreign funds for such groups as well as making of statements triggering hatred among ethnic groups and terrorist violence should be fully terminated. The Presidential Investigation Commission has identified on the tasks to be carried out by respective state institutions and authorities and on the prominence to be given to each of the tasks in this regard. If the prevailing administrative structure is not adequate to implement the recommended course of actions, necessary changes have to be made in the relevant mechanism. A mediatory role by the Parliamentary Committee is not anticipated in the prosecution of the offenders or in the hearings of these cases. It has also been pointed out that it is also not a responsibility of the six-member committee to add new recommendations to the Investigation Commission's report. Although this reflects the true situation, certain groups are attempting to socialize a wrong concept of the tasks of the Parliamentary Committee. The Media Division communique further says that the 6 members of the committee have been appointed by taking into consideration facts as their political maturity, experience and higher knowledge in different fields.
Minister Professor Gio Piri says that future action relating to the Easter Commission report should be taken after having discussions with the Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjith and other religious leaders. He made these remarks at a media briefing of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna. Minister Professor Gio Piri said that it is extremely important to bring before the law that those who are responsible for the incident. The minister has pointed out that, however, there are several more factors that go beyond the issue. That is to ensure the responsibility as a government not to leave room for the recreation of such tragedy in the future. It is crucial for the government to inquire into the measures to be implemented in this regard. Minister Professor Gio Piri further said that the Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjith, has played an indelible and exemplary role in this connection. He added that if not for the interventions of His Eminence, there was clearly a threat of the country turning into a pool of blood. The minister said that they believe that this was the ultimate intention of the perpetrators of this crime. This fact has been amply substantiated by the Commission. It is now necessary to focus attention on future strategies. However, such measures should have been taken after having discussions with the Reverend Cardinal. The opinions and suggestions of His Eminence are extremely important. The minister further said that there could be certain ambiguities on the part of the government. Therefore, further decisions have to be taken after inquiring the opinions of all concerned, including the Mahasangha. General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramana Parliamentarian Attorney-at-Law Sagar Karyabasam has expressed opinion regarding accusations launched by the opposition regarding the government's program.
The epidemiology unit says that the AstraZeneca vaccine has so far been provided to 338,769 persons under the COVID-19 inoculation program. The vaccination program has been carried out successfully throughout the island today as well. The vaccination program has been carried out for the 25th day today. 35,912 persons were vaccinated yesterday. The AstraZeneca vaccine was inoculated on officials of the police training colleges today. 400 officials were vaccinated at the Kalutara Police Training College. Vaccination of the employees of the Sri Lanka Ports Authority has been conducted today as well. Health divisions say that around 1,000 workers in the private sector and security and customs were given the vaccine. Inoculation of residents of the Maligavatta area has taken place at the PD Sirisena grounds. Nearly 1,000 persons were vaccinated on this occasion. A vaccination program also got underway in Campbell Park, Borella today. Another 1,800 residents in Borella have been given the AstraZeneca vaccine. A vaccination program also took place at the Colombo Public Library premises. The number of recoveries from COVID-19 has reached 75,110. It is a percentage of 93.63. Another 4,667 patients are continuously undergoing treatment. 17,949 have left hospitals from the beginning of this month after recovering from the virus. Another 811 persons have left hospitals after recovering from the virus today. Another 223 COVID-19 patients were detected in the island today. 12,936 tests have been conducted yesterday. A total of 2,032,203 PCR tests have been conducted in the country so far. Sri Lanka cricket's pace bowler of the Sri Lankan cricket team, Lahiru Kumara, has been infected with COVID-19. This has been confirmed upon conducting PCR tests on the Sri Lankan cricketers participating in the West Indies tour yesterday. 10 more COVID-19 related deaths were reported yesterday. The victims were residents of Kolonnawa, Vellavatta, Kalutara, Vaskaduwa, Bibila, Gurutalawa, Pitakotte, Kudagalgamuwa, Ratmalana and Hatton. Meanwhile, Minister Professor G.L. Piri says that 2 special centres will be established in every district for COVID-19 infected candidates sitting for the GCE ordinary level examination. The O-level examination is scheduled to commence on the 1st of next month.
Deputy Director General of Health Services Dr. Hemant Herat says that the immunization program has been carried out in pre-planned and optimum level, targeting the most vulnerable segments for COVID-19 in selected areas, as he requested the public to refrain from influencing or appealing the health authorities to bypass the line to obtain the vaccines, as the entire nation is expected to be vaccinated under the immunization program. He made these remarks at a media briefing held today.
I want to emphasize that the immunization program is carried out according to a pre-planned, prioritized activities. And we have selected persons to be immunized in a manner so that the most benefit is coming not only to the persons but also to the public in general. So therefore, we have decided to cover the Western Province initially because it is the most vulnerable area and it can spread the disease to other parts of the country as well. So therefore, we will be covering the Western Province as quickly as possible depending on the availability of vaccines. And at this moment, I want to highlight the fact that this is carried out in selected areas in the Western Province, and I request the public to be patient and make sure that wait until your turn is coming and try not to influence and ask or request the health authorities to bypass this queue and then get yourselves immunized, because everybody will be getting this vaccine definitely, and everything depends on the availability of stocks because the stocks are very limited and production is limited compared to the demand, and as a result we are expecting the vaccines in limited stocks. So during that time, we will be doing this vaccination to the best of our ability, making sure that the most needy people are vaccinated first. Therefore, I would request the public to wait until you are being called to get the vaccination from the respective vaccination centers.
He also made remarks on the health measures undertaken during Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan's visit to Sri
Related
Lanka.
to the visit of His Excellency Imran Khan, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, it is being carried out according to the strict guideline issued by the Health Ministry related to the visits by VVIPs and also the state guests. And at this moment, this visits also will be carried out under such guidelines with the cooperation of the Foreign Ministry and other government agencies, and also the Ministry of Health and the Colombo Municipal Council will ensure that the required guidelines are adhered to. And I also would like to request the people who are attending to the functions where the Prime Minister is attending to ensure that the strict guidelines are adhered to all time during the functions that these are being carried out or happening during the visits of the Prime Minister of Pakistan.
Minister of Mass Media Kehelia Ramukwella says that although a massive development program is being carried out in the country, it should not be given unnecessary propaganda using public funds. The minister was addressing the Initial Action Committee meeting of the National Development Media Centre established by the Ministry of Mass Media today. Many development projects on the rural and urban level are being implemented throughout the country. The minister has also pointed out that it is necessary to enlighten the general public on these projects. During the previous regime, certain groups were displaying posters and cutouts on the opening of houses in areas outside of the locations where the actual event took place. They were using propaganda for their personal benefit. Secretary to the Ministry of Mass Media Jagat P. Vijayveera, Director of the National Media Development Centre Milinda Rajapaksa and heads of media institutions also attended this event. In the meantime, Minister of Agriculture Mahindananda Alutgamage says that the aim of the government is to control the rice mafia by keeping in its possession a buffer stock of 300 metric tons of paddy. The minister, addressing a media briefing today, further said that the government has set aside a sum of 23,000 million rupees to purchase the paddy harvest of this season. 323 new storages have been repaired to stock paddy. These storages have the facility to stock 325,000 metric tons of paddy. The government provides fertilizer, water, insurance as well as technology free of charge to the farmer. The government has taken measures to provide a guaranteed price for the paddy harvest of farmers in order to prevent them from being purchased at lower prices. The objective is to safeguard the farmer as well as the consumer from a rice mafia. The highest paddy harvest in the history of 3.2 million metric tons has been recorded during this season. The government expects to produce 5 million metric tons of paddy this year. The quantity of rice to be derived around 3 million metric tons, and the country's annual rice consumption is 2.5 million metric tons. Minister of Agriculture Mahindananda Alutgamage says that traders connected to the mafia are engaged in purchasing 75 to 80% of the paddy harvest. They purchase paddy at 60 to 75 rupees per kilo, and the government is left with 10% of the harvest. The opposition leader is trying to gain undue advantage from the paddy purchasing program. Farmers still have 60% of the harvest with them, and the Ministry of Agriculture take the challenge to provide rice at a price of 97 rupees to the consumer in the forthcoming New Year season.
කට වහගෙන කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලයේ හිටපු ඇමතිවරයා තමයි අපේ විපක්ෂ නායකතුමා. අද මම කනගාටු වෙනවා විපක්ෂ නායකතුමත් සහල් මාෆියාවෙන් යැපෙන්න හදනවා. අද වෙනකොට ගොවි අපට වී ලබා දෙනවා කිලෝ ලක්ෂ 20ක්. අද වෙනකොට වීඇලේ මණ්ඩලයට ගෙනත් දීලා තියෙනවා. අපි මතක තියාගන්න නිෂ්පාදනයෙන් 10%යි රජය ගන්නෙ. මේ කතා කරන මෝල් හිමියන්ට ගන්න පුළුවන් වැඩිම මෙට්‍රික් ටොන් ලක්ෂ 4.5යි. ඒ කියන්නේ 130කුත් නැහැ. තව 160ක් ගොවීන් ළඟ තියෙනවා. ඒ නිසා නිකන් අනවශ්‍ය අර්ථකථනයන් වලට යන්න එපා. මේ අභියෝගේ බාර ගන්න කෘෂිකර්ම අමාත්‍යාංශයට අපි සූදානම්. විපක්ෂයත් අනුග්‍රහය ලබාගෙන මේ මහා පරිමාණ සාල් මාෆියාව මේකට බහැලා තියෙන එක ගැන පුදුම වෙන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. මොකද එක කන්නකින් බිලියන ගණන් හම්බ කරනවා.
State Minister Shashindra Rajapaksa has also attended the media briefing.
The aim of the government is to increase fish export revenue to $5 billion US. State Minister Kanchana Wijesekara at a media briefing at the Ministry of Fisheries today further said that the relevant plans have already been prepared. State Minister Kanchana Wijesekara said that they have never issued permits to import dry fish and Maldive fish rather. The aim is to produce these two commodities locally. The budget has allocated to 390 million rupees for the manufacturing of dry fish and Maldive fish in the country. Work on Sri Lanka's largest fisheries harbour in Point Pendro will get underway this year. Constructions of the Pesale and Gurunagar fisheries harbours will also commence this year. A 3-year development plan will also be implemented to reconstruct 22 fisheries harbours from Kalpitiya to Trincomalee.
And in sports news for tonight, Sri Lanka Cricket announced today that the national cricket team's consultant fast bowling coach Chaminda Vas has resigned from his position. Former Sri Lanka pacer Chaminda Vas announced his resignation hours before the team was scheduled to depart for the West Indies tour. Issuing a statement, Sri Lanka Cricket has indicated that newly appointed consultant coach Chaminda Vas will not extend his services to the national team during the tour to West Indies. Well, that's it from the Rupavahini English News Desk for tonight. Join us once again tomorrow. Until then, thanks for watching. Have a great night.